Ouch. Okay. Let's see, how do I... There, that should be just 5 and 6. Let's see if this is playing. Should be giving me something. Hey, Alex. I see it. I don't hear it. No. Okay, well, that looks like it's working. Let's just get going. Okay, I don't know. That sounded like some skipping and popping or something. That's a little scary. Yeah, that might just be in the broadcast side. I don't really want it either way. But anyway. Let's see just how this goes. So welcome to Dropping In at Pipeline Audio number 71. It's July 4th over here. And this is Life After ADAT. So let's see what we got here. So first of all, this is something hopefully is interesting to somebody. There's been a lot more talk about MIDI 2.0 finally coming. Yeah, I don't know how to invite people anymore. This new version of Facebook is not it's not inviting. I have no idea. I'm obviously I'm the admin for it, so it should be inviting people, and it's not. I don't know. Yeah, that sucks. So, well, there's nothing I can really do about that. Well, it's a bummer. You know, I don't know. I don't know if there's a trick to it. Maybe on the AIX DSP version it'll let me, but yeah, it really doesn't seem to. Yeah, I don't know what that clicking is. That's sorry about that. I don't know. I'm gonna deal with that later. Anyway, yeah, if anybody knows how to switch Facebook so that I can invite people on video anymore, let me know. I can't go to classic mode the way they show in all the tutorials or whatever that show you how to switch back to Facebook classic mode. So yeah, I don't know. I guess nobody knows to come watch. Bummer. Anyway, so MIDI 2.0, people have been talking about it again. And yeah, sorry, the drums are crazy ass loud out here. But you know, what was it? Like 30 something years for MIDI. Yeah, it's been a very long time. But here's from Anderton's. So MIDI 2.0 supposedly fully backwards compatible with MIDI 1 and MIDI 1.0, or the MIDI that you've known since forever and ever and ever. MIDI 2.0 gear is designed to communicate and configure automatically with its peers. I have no idea what that means. Maybe it's because of one of these other features. I think it's bidirectional now. So it's just increased resolution, velocity increase from 7-bit to 16 bits, even though most controllers are now 32-bit resolution. So, you know, I guess this would have been good in the late 90s or something, but, you know, maybe that's enough. Who knows? I'm sure it's probably way better than 7 bits anyway. Streamlined integration with DAWs. I don't know. We'll see what that means. I'm not really all that sure that that's gonna really be a thing. 256 channels. That's pretty cool instead of the old 16. Property exchange. This looks interesting. It says this allows individual devices to ask each other which parameters they have that can be accessed by the other. This includes preset info, synth settings, controller mappings, parameter listings, and more. That's something kind of interesting there. VST3 compatible. VST3 plugins are prepped to work with MIDI 2.0 thanks to their higher resolution. Now, obviously, to anybody who's been following around with our AIX DSP development, or basically running MIDI and VST in general, you notice that even when we're forced to be on VST3 now, MIDI just doesn't seem to work. There's some companies I think have gotten some MIDI features to work, but for the longest time, Juice wasn't doing it. So I don't know. VST3 compatible. How about just getting VST3 to work with the same MIDI that VST2 can? Not that that has nothing to do with the MIDI Manufacturers Association. That one is definitely not their fault, as far as I can tell. Configuring profiles, MIDI controllers will seamlessly slot into your setup. And that's a bold claim. 2 MIDI 2.0 instruments which support the same profile will auto-configure and operate together without issue. That's an interesting claim. Improved timing. Jitter reduction timestamps mean if a note is delayed or mixed up during transmission, the receiver automatically knows the time it really arrived at. That's interesting. Better MPE. But I thought there's a bidirectional deal. Let me see. So I'm going to go to the MIDI.org page. Yeah, bidirectional. MIDI CI. What is MIDI CI? MIDI capability inquiry. MIDI CI assumes bidirectional communication, so MIDI changes from a monologue to a dialogue. That's interesting. If you own a, not that. How long? Okay, so I'm still running and often recommend the Behringer FCB 1010 for a MIDI pedal board for lots of reasons. But how long is that thing being made? I swear that thing was made in the late 90s, maybe later. But yeah, you got 2 cables coming out of that thing and no real MIDI over USB. Though there's tons of mods out there, which is one of the reasons I recommend that thing. But it'd be nice to have one cable. I wonder what it looked like anyway. Has anybody seen the hardware for it? Is it like USB or I just haven't seen any of the actual hardware. I'm looking through here right now. Anyway, we had those 5-pin DIN plugs for the longest time with MIDI, so maybe it's something like that still, or I don't know. Yeah, okay, sorry, I'll check it one more time. Let's see. So I should be here in, what is it, channel 3? But I don't. And that's because I have it muted.
Okay, sorry, I'll check it one more time. Let's see.
Well, yeah, those drums are pounding. Sorry about that. There's nothing really I can do about that. Somebody bought me some sheet block the other day, though, so that was, or somebody gave me some. I wonder if that could help at all. I doubt it, but oh well. So that's MIDI 2.0. It's nice to see that it's moving along finally. Here come the drums again. I wonder if I should just kill all my low end. Maybe that would make it a little bit more tolerable. I don't know. Sorry, guys. Yeah, that kind of sucks. And yeah, again, I don't know that if it's clicking and popping away. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so over the last while now, I've been wanting to get a new desk with a lot more rack space because we're probably moving away from the X32 M32 setup and back to just 8 channels to ADAT kind of mic pre's going into, hopefully, probably just the RME interfaces, honestly. It's a bummer because I'm used to, we can really communicate well with the other room, and just by pressing buttons, you can get back all your mic preamp settings and all your routing and everything. Really easy to recall, and it's nice. It gives every room in the school and the studio access to the same mic preamps from the DL32, but it does have its share of problems, and it's very complicated to keep in your head. Let me just put this up on the screen. So this is I still have a little ways to go, but this is my routing. There's a lot inside Total Mix you got to do, but for the X32s, M32s, and the DL32s, there's a lot of routing, and a lot of it you can't necessarily hold in your head, and it's kind of complicated to figure out exactly how things are supposed to go and why they're supposed to go that way. And it might just be easier to kind of do it with just running some long ADAT cables between the rooms and doing it that way. There's some disadvantages there because the out in the other rooms, if they don't have access to my room, they won't be able to change mic preamp volumes and things. But I think we can work it out. And the other thing is these things also make the M32 X32 stuff makes a great PA mixer. So I'm gonna have to probably put another analog mixer back out in the room just to make this easier. There's other things I could probably do, but that's likely what I'm gonna have to do. But man, if you were watching this, you're gonna see just how insane this routing is. So, that's how that is. Who was that? Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble. Svein Petter. I can't even pronounce your name. Sorry, but thanks for checking it. I guess you're watching on the AIX DSP Facebook. Doesn't look like it's on the YouTube. I'm watching the Restream Relay chat. So anyways, this routing is pretty complicated. There are a couple of latency. There's some added round trip latency because of the switching through the DL32, X32. Right now I got to go from the DL32 into my M32, and then from the M32 into the RME Digiface USB, through the DAW, back out to the M32. Then the M32 sends to the X32, and then the X32 sends back to the DL32. There's a couple steps in there that do actually add a little bit of latency. And, there's just more reliability things to think about. So, oh, wow. My hot glue fell off my Velcro. Bummer. I'm going to have to work on that. So, there's pluses and minuses, but I think it's going to be simpler if I go back to the old, 8-channel mic pre to ADAT setup. But it was kind of a weird thing to do this. The word clock, what a pain. It used to be easy to get word clock generators or word clock distribution boxes. But the silly magical thinking, and it's bad on mic preamps, but I swear it's even worse on word clocks. These people just make these insane claims. So now these word clocks cost a fortune, like thousands. I saw some kind of thing for like $700 that seems like maybe it would work. But man, come on, $700 for just all I'm doing is splitting word clock out. And the reason I can't just run T connectors is that a lot of these 8-channel to ADAT mic preamps have terminators in them that you can't turn off or you can't defeat. If you have a terminator in your word chain, that should be the last device in the chain. And if you don't, and which I tried before, you end up with some clicks and pops. And I know you guys are saying, well, I'm getting clicks and pops off of you right now. But that's not the kind of clicks and pops I'm talking about. Actually, it sounds kind of the same, but it's not the same. Anyway, Yeah, I don't know why the Restream relay chat didn't work on that, but so that's why you have to use these distribution boxes, because I have 3 otherwise really good Focusrite Octoprete Mark IIs, but they have to sync from word clock. They don't have ADAT ins. They don't have any digital to analog converters. So anyway, it's really hard to get these things, but I lucked out on Reverb. I found a old Aardvark. Man, this thing must be 20 years old, maybe more. So who knows if it's just going to break on me any second now. But it's an old Aardvark. What's it called? Universal Sync Distribution. And it was a fair price. It was like $100. And I think it's got 6 word clock outs and 1 word clock in. It doesn't generate clock, but it takes it in and then distributes it safely, allegedly. And so anyway, the funny thing is a lot of these manufacturers just won't even answer when you ask if they're terminated or not. And really these things are marketed. If you look at the ads, they're marketed as if the big boys, the big studios, whatever, are stacking these things up and using piles of them for 32 or 48 or whatever, how many tracks or channels, input channels. And that's how they kind of show it in the pictures or whatever. But the manufacturers know full well that the average project studio is just going to use one of these things. So they did them a favor. They put a terminator on the word clock so you don't have to go and buy a word clock terminator or whatever. But, it sucks because if you do use multiples of them, like you would think they're advertised for, you've got to get a word clock distribution unit, which is ridiculous. So just let us turn off those terminators, man. Come on. That would be nice. I went and got, for a 4th one, a Scarlett Octoprete Dynamic. Sorry. This one's got ADAT in and digital to analog, so it can chase ADAT sync, and I did an experiment yesterday, I think, where I had it chasing ADAT sync, then I had its word clock out going to the Aardvark distribution box, and then the word clock outputs of that going into all the Focusrite Octoprete Mark II's word clock inputs, and they chased okay. So that seems to work. So I'm going to check this one more time. Okay, so yeah, let me know if I'm getting clicks or dropouts. It seems like things are working. So yeah, that worked. I got word lock and I tested a couple of them. I didn't hear any clicks or pops. So I think that's good. But okay, so it's $400 for these Octoprete Mark IIs, or what do they call them now? Scarlett Octopretes, and they're good. Last year or whatever, I did the test where we really checked all these things to measure how flat they were. And these, honestly, they're very good. Very flat. You could check that out on my page, pipelineaudio.net, and just go to Real Gear Measurements, I think it's called, Real World Gear Tests. And they really are good. Yeah, sorry about the drums, man. There's nothing I can do about it right now. I guess I should isolate this mic stand better than that. Maybe that would help. But so, they're really good. $400 for 8 channels to ADAT. And if you had a word clock distribution box, then that's great for however many you want to add together that you can feed into an audio interface. But, they are terminated and they're ADAT out only, so there's no digital to analog that you're going to need for something. Then again, your interface may have a headphone out or something like that if in a pinch. But so for $600, you get that Scarlett Octoprete Dynamic, and it's got ADAT in, and it's got digital to analog converters. I guess $600 versus $400 for if you're talking 32 channels. That's another $800. Ouch. More choices would be nice. The Behringer 8200, everybody had been talking about that. I saw an SOS review that they didn't. I think they said it didn't sound that much better than the old one. I'm not sure, but it should definitely be a contender. I mean, the thing's like $300. It was even cheaper before the no word. Now that thing has 8 channels. I don't think it has DIs. Yeah, which all the Focusrite ones do. Yeah, $300. Analog to digital, digital to analog. You could do ADAT sync. It looks like it generates word clock as far as I know. But I asked if the word clock thing was terminated, and I couldn't find out, and Behringer wouldn't answer. I almost got the Claret Octopre for this, but I would have had needed a D sub adapter. And if you guys know me, you remember how many billion DB25s did I solder for the old Tascam T-diffs, the DA88, DA38s, all that stuff where you use the DB25 connectors to go to 8 channels of analog. Oh man, I remember, if you didn't, Jeff Harris, Jeff Harris, Artifact, Studio Services, Porcupine, all that. Jeff Harris gave me the trick to, you plug in the opposite gender DB25 connector, so when you solder it, it doesn't end up all mangled and the pins out all over and ruining your work. They're still really hard to do. And, I don't have the supplies here. And, plus it was more money, and I didn't really see any big benefit in it. So, the Octopre Mark II, when I did my tests, was really good. And I figure the Scarlett Octopre Dynamic, it's the next generation of them, as far as I know. So I figure it's at least just as good, but could be better than that. I don't really care about the compressors on each channel. It seems more of a gimmick to me. I just needed the ADAT in. I'm running this particular show right now. This is the first one to try it through the Octopre Dynamic chasing ADAT for sync, and it seems to be locked up and working. So that's looking good. And Total Mix, I had to do some. Yeah, I'll bring it up on the routing next week. It'll probably be. I haven't finished drawing out the entire routing for this thing yet, but I did find out a way to use Total Mix thanks to Metal Audio Engineers group on Facebook, I think. I was able to set it up for 2 speakers switching, and so I could use my HS50s, and then I can finally use my KRK VXT6s again. And then I also have the subs on a mute switch on the ARC USB remote control. And the way that I did that is I sent a parallel route from another set of channels to a channel on the outputs for the sub, and I did a fader group that included the main outs on Total Mix with that sub out, and I did a mute group to turn it on and off. And that's working really good. And, I was hesitant to buy this ARC USB because, I already have a central station. So, why do I need this thing? But it does so many other functions. It's to me, it's totally worth it if you own one of the RMEs that has Total Mix on it, which I think is all of them, as far as I know. And so, yeah, I got Total Mix working well, and I'm really thankful for that. And I also multed my out 3 to 4, which is normally my headphone out Q mix for the artists, to 11 and 12, so I could send that out to ADAT 2, which goes to ADAT 1 in on the M32, which then goes to the X32 and then to the DL32, because instead of running all through the X32, like I say, I'm using the Octopre Dynamics for my the digital to analog converters for my speakers. So I'm going out to my speakers right now with that new Octopre Dynamic. So I just got it, but seems to be working. So channel 1 and 2 go to my HS50s. Channel actually 5 and 6 go to the KRKs, and channels 7 and 8 out go to the sub. And I still got that 3 and 4 for the Q, and that's really all I need. If I ever need more, well, you guys feel free to send me. I'm not sure. what other choices there are right now, really. For what's it? The Art Tube Optopre. Let's just look. I'm gonna go to Sweetwater real quick. Mic preamps. Let's go check out Sweetwater's preamps and channel swips. So I'm gonna look for something that has how do I need a filter. Yeah, I don't need a channel strip. I need a preamp. I'm going to tell it I want 8 channels. And I want digital output, optical. And just want to see what's out there. And let's say we want a digital input as well. So on optical. So now if I do that, we're down to 6 according to, sometimes the filter doesn't work that good on Sweetwater though. But so the 6 I see is the Focusrite Claret Octopre 8 channel. So that one's got the ADAT in and out. Focusrite Scarlett Octopre Dynamic, which is what I'm looking at right here. That's I have. The Audient ASP 800 8 channel mic preamp. But it's $850. It's even more than the Claret. $150 more. The Behringer 8200, like we were talking about earlier. The Art Tube Opto 8 channel tube microphone preamp, and the RME Octamic. So yeah, if you want D to A, well, you're bumming, man. That stuff is there's not very much stuff out there, which is crazy. I swear there used to be more. I'm going to take off the digital inputs, and let's see what we got now. Same things. Of course, the Scarlett Octopre with just the ADAT out. And another Audient, which is even more money. I don't know why, but yeah. I think this thing, Sweetwater's filter might be broken here on this. Oh, Grace Designs for $3,200. Yeah, sure, I'll be right on that. You know, that Art, actually, people turned out to like that thing, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, there's a Midas. I don't know if it's got defeatable terminators or not. It's $900. Yeah, I don't know. I think the if you really want one, the Scarlett Octopre and the Scarlett Octopre Dynamic and the Behringer 8200, those are going to be your deals. But you know, people really did like that Art Tube Octopre, and I don't know if it's as good as the one that won all those mic preamp contests from the true believers that said they hated Art until they were actually double blinded tested. But yeah, that looks like what's out there. But you know, if I move away from the X32, M32, DL32 setup, which looks like a very likely possibility at this point, then we're ready to go with these Focusrite Octopres. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna, like I said at the beginning, you know, we're gonna run some long ADAT cables and maybe a mixer. It's probably gonna have to be strategic about what I leave on and what turns off. Speaking of which, I put all my speakers on one rack rider power strip thing, and the mic pre's on another, because when those mic pre's go on, they in the ADAT syncs, they give a really nasty click to the speakers. So I'm going to avoid that by moving the speakers to a different circuit. Okay, and you know, okay, this is crazy. Look how long we've run the ADAT light pipe format. I think that, you know, back when there were actually ADAT machines in the world, they came out in like 92. I think they were announced at NAMM 91 maybe. But yeah, now we're talking, you know, 30 years for ADATs. Of course, we don't use the old munchy, crunchy, slow, clunky VHS tape unit recorder things anymore. What do you call them back then? The modular digital multitracks. but we still use the ADAT light pipe format, and it's generally 8 channels per cable. Unless you're going above 48K, then you half them for every time you double. And a lot of these devices, like all these Focusrites here, they have you can send out 2 ADAT outs for SMUX or whatever they call it. But we're still running these things, and they work pretty good. It's strange that something has lasted that long. You would think we'd have something that totally replaced it, but there's still plenty of mic pre's out there that have this. I mean, more than have any of the other digital formats that I can think of. And what are those? So right now the X32 and everything, they use something called AES 50, which is in my case anyway, it goes over a network cable. So I don't know how many channels, but at least 32. The DL32 sends out over an Ethernet cable to my M32 over AES 50. And I think the way this networking works, it's point to point. You can't put it in a router, unfortunately. If you could, I'd find ways to keep this stuff, because that would be really handy. But it goes from one unit to the next unit to the next unit. I don't see too many AES 50 devices on the market. I don't know what all runs them. And, it could be that they don't last much longer. I'm really not sure. It seems like a great format, but like with the DL32s, you need to run an X32 or M32 in order to even control the thing. And, I really don't need these things, except for to control that. So I don't know that. Yeah, there was a Lynx card, AES32 or something like that, where you could use it to at least bring in the AES50 signal, but you couldn't. I don't think you can control the mic preamps with it. So who knows? Maybe more AES50 will come out. So another one that is out there is Dante, and Dante. There are Dante mic preamps and things. There seems to be a whole system that has Dante as a format for its ins and outs. The issue I have, first of all, is price. It seems to be that Dante is a dongle, and if I'm gonna explain, kind of like what I consider UAD. There is a software version of Dante, and it requires that you have a certain minimum latency, and it won't go below that. And there's a claim out there that's a hardware limitation. You wouldn't be able to run it well in software unless you got down to that latency. But I also got the Focusrite RedNet version, the hardware version of Dante. And when I compared them apples to apples at the latencies that software Dante could do, and I ran the hardware Dante at it, it actually used more CPU to run the hardware version of Dante than it did the software version. So either this stuff was completely bugged, but I've had other people with Dante systems run these same tests for me, and they always turn out the same way. The Dante hardware that you pay more for actually eats more CPU than software version of Dante, as far as I can tell. And then also Dante adds latency, not too terribly much, but there was quite a bit, and it's added at different points. And there's different. You do have a lot of configurations, but a lot of it was forcing you to run at 48K or a multiple of. You couldn't necessarily switch things on the network. I think the software version was definitely at one speed. I did buy Dante Via because Dante Via, we've talked about several times on this show, because Dante Via solves some, or attempts to solve some problems that you have. Sadly, trying to run audio between programs on Windows and on OS X. I do hear all the times the claims that the OS X doesn't have this problem. It does. Dante Via should fix that, but in order to do that, you have to give up your low latency ASIO driver, and it just that didn't work out well for me. Dante in general, I found that it seems like it's just an added tag to put that, whatever they call the Brooklyn chip or whatever, on your gear, and you get the same gear without the Dante thingy on it for way the hell cheaper. So I don't like the price, I don't like the performance, I don't like the latency, and I don't like something else. I don't know. I don't like the price, I don't like the performance, I don't like the latency. So yeah, Dante just didn't work out that well for me. There's also AVB and I guess they call it AES 67. That's Motu's entry into the world. Tim Gray, who I trust a lot, says if I didn't like Dante, I'm really not going to like AVB. But there is a competitor from Motu for my RME Digiface USB. It's another 32 IO ADAT only unit but it has AVB. I'm thinking of trying it to see how AVB works, but I don't know. It looks like AVB is a little bit sketchy. But again, Dante and AVB let me move around these rooms at the school. Super awesome. I mean, just to have Dante in all the rooms, it's just amazing. But I just didn't like the performance. I'm hoping AES 67 is better, but I won't hold my breath. And then there's also Maddie. I don't know that it. I think Maddie is 64 channels. RME's got a lot of Maddie stuff. Seems really expensive. I don't really see much. I don't see too many devices with it except for the interfaces. Sorry about that phone. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can parallel split Maddie to run in different rooms, or if you can do it kind of like a network thingy. But I'm looking into it because like RME adds offers a lot of Maddie stuff, so I'm going to take a look. And this is awesome. The newer versions of OBS ASIO are 64-bit. And so that means you can run Reaper's reroute at 64-bit. And I'm actually, like I said, we were getting some clicks and pops earlier, and that might be because right now I'm not using my loopbacks, my RME loopback stuff. I'm actually broadcasting by sending reroute out of Reaper. Let me pull that up here. Actually, wait, why am I putting on two pairs of glasses? Here's my master output, and I'm going to look at the routing. And there we go. We're sending out to my main outs as normal, and then also to my hardware out as reroute 1, reroute 2. And OBS ASIO is taking in reroute 1 and 2. And if you guys are hearing this, it means it's working. It was really sketchy before when I tried it, when it was 32-bit ASIO, but this seems to be working pretty good. So, cross your fingers. As far as I can tell, it's going well. I'll check this audio on the stream later on. I know there seemed to be some clicks at the very beginning. I'm not sure what that was about, and who knows? That could be something else. That could be one of my some plugin or something. Who knows? I'm gonna streamline this and clean it up a lot in a little bit over the next couple days. But OBS ASIO 64. That is awesome. It seems to be working. That means I can get one of my loopbacks back, and I can use that for Zoom and Skype and stuff like that. And so I'll be doing that on Total Mix as soon as I get a chance. And I still need help getting the pre-show hangout thing figured out. I really want to be able to have a YouTube, Facebook, whatever hangout room, especially YouTube, so that we can talk and check the audio and get the guests ready and everything ahead of time before it starts actually streaming. So I'd love to know if somebody can help me figure that out. But that's it for this, and I will see you guys next week.